Everyone
Should
get
we
your...
be?
Wait, and then we all like,
Yeah, Steve, you bring us in. Danielle and I will be.
wait. Oh.
Yeah, put the cords in your...
Fuck. I need more cable. You can't really see it, but it'll work.
Like, how do I kick you? I need something to throw at you. It's like, hey, welcome to Every Film in the Book. Hold on, I got to wake up my co-stars here.
You touched it again. Steve, you touched it again.
Fucking.
You got to stop laughing.
Just do it. Just do it, Steve.
Welcome to Every Film in the Book.
Oh, hold on, wait. Okay.
All right.
It's really hard to not laugh. I am an actress. I am Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm doing great.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Welcome, everybody, to Every Film in the Book. I have some terrible, sleepy co-hosts. Welcome, everybody, to Every Film in the Book. Unfortunately, my co-stars are freaking asleep right now. Oh, no, wait, she's awake. Wake up, you douches.
So stupid. Welcome to Every Film in the Book. We did Inception. We just got back from a 10-year dream sequence.
I couldn't do that with this.
That was really difficult to try to keep it together. Oh, my word.
I commend you for lasting as long as you did. I was trying.
That was good. I like that.
Your laugh broke me.
Oh, my God, you're crying. All right, we have tears. We have tears on film. Oh,
Great movie.
great movie. I had a lot of fun with this.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was great. Move on.
It was a real tearjerker.
Right? So, I mean, this movie came out almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, we decided we'd just kind of have a little fun with this one.
Yes, and as it is our 50th episode, that's why I'm so emotional.
Yeah.
We wanted to do something that would be fun and also like a legit great movie.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, like, who
right.
hasn't seen Inception
I've seen
at
it.
this point? I mean, I've seen
I watched it while I was dreaming.
I dreamt all of Inception, and then I watched it, and then I was like, dude, what's
And then I was
reality?
like, wait, is this the dream or was that the dream?
Hmm.
You'll never know.
Then Steve drove my car off a bridge, and we realized it was a dream.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
And then he shot me in the head.
All
Then
right,
he
wow,
electrocuted
okay.
me. I had to wake up 6 times to do this podcast.
Yeah, no, we've been out for a while. But I'm glad we're finally doing this, because it's been a while since... Oh, my God, I'm sorry. I have to clear the shit out of my eye.
I do think we've had it on our list for the whole duration of the podcast. I think it was on our original
I think it was
list.
on the original
Yeah.
list. Now, this is, a couple years into it, and we've pulled, we did a good amount off that list first, and then we've kind of still been going back to that original list, which is
Yeah.
kind of neat. After 2 years of doing it, making the list, it's like we're still going back to draw from it.
Yeah, we've
The
also been
list.
pulling movies out of freaking nowhere.
Right?
Like Blood Simple.
I think my favorite
those.
way we've picked a couple is just line up all the streaming stuff and just scroll.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a couple episodes after scrolling for like an hour.
Mm.
Spend 40 minutes scrolling and be like,
Like
all right, we're
Blood
doing that
Simple.
one.
Yeah,
And
Blood Simple was the, all right, we haven't found anything else. Let's just do it.
Like, yeah, whatever. Name sounds cool. Guy's got a Texas accent.
Right.
Why not?
But this one, especially for when it came out, this one's hard to beat. You got DiCaprio, Michael Caine, a bunch of good actors in this
you
movie.
put Michael Caine in a movie, I'm there. Even when he's fighting Jaws, I wanted to be there. But unfortunately, I wasn't born yet.
Well, they did eventually get to that snowy mountain. So
Yeah.
Michael Caine just hopped over from Batman to film
Yes.
in Inception and then went back to finish up the Batman.
I mean, I will say that about Nolan. He has his cast of characters that he constantly employs. Like Tom Hardy is always in a Nolan movie. Like DiCaprio's been in a bunch of them.
Yep.
Like
Kind of how
Michael Caine is literally in all of them.
like Tarantino has
Yeah, like he's got his set cast.
his set cast, and I mean, obviously there's other ones that have reoccurring roles and things,
Right.
but this one's a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one's a trip.
I remember coming out of the theater seeing this, and my I mean, I wasn't gonna say my nose was bleeding, but mentally it was.
Right.
Because like I didn't fully grasp like the whole dream thing. Like I wasn't really understanding like the time frame. But then you know, the whole ending happens with the thing, and then I was just even more confused.
Right.
And I just got made fun
I'm
of.
pretty sure everyone's first viewing was like, I think I know what happens, but I could be completely wrong,
Right.
and now
Yeah.
I'm confused.
But also, if your friends made fun of you because you didn't know what was going on, it's because they didn't know and they were just trying to make you
Yeah,
feel
I was
bad.
the easy target.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess our main story, I mean, there's a lot of things happening in this movie.
It's too
but-
many things happening.
But we're mainly going to just focus on our boy DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't win an Oscar for this, by the way.
He didn't?
No. No.
Well, it wasn't
Yeah.
even real, so how could he win an Oscar?
He should have dreamt himself winning
Right?
an Oscar.
He
Oh.
probably did, let's be honest.
Damn.
He
I
probably
would've.
went home. Oh, man. He's spinning his own top. He's like, am I awake? This is bullshit.
Yeah, so you pretty much can tell that the story is all about DiCaprio, and even when it's not about DiCaprio, it's about DiCaprio.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really self-centered. He has a way of budding his own fucking imagination into all these dreams.
he does.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, and you think he'd be better at his job
Well,
and he'd be able to control himself
and
a
that's-
little better.
I think we're gonna start off by talking about a few of these concepts. That was the one thing they kind of tell you, but don't. Like, I think it took till we watched it today where I was like, oh right, that's why there's always two of them, because somebody makes it and the other one fills it up with people.
Right, right.
That was like, okay, I might have known that but forgotten it, or I could have dreamt it, but I had forgotten that it's-
everything you forget, you just dreamt.
somebody
more about it.
builds the dream and then
Yeah.
somebody else's subconscious
Yeah, actually populates the thing.
populates it for him.
But like the thing with DiCaprio's being like our lead, like since he's so already versed in this world, you don't really get any kind of mechanics of how this dream stuff works.
right.
Like they just kind of throw you into it.
Even though the first time it happens, and then with the student,
Oh,
Ariadne.
Ariadne Grande.
That's a hard name to say.
it's very
and
hard.
it's pretty cool, but I'd screw it up a bunch.
I mean, DiCaprio said it about 5 different times.
They do show you
Yeah.
how it works, but only on like a very surface topical level, and then they give you bits and pieces on how the later stages work.
Right.
So-
So like as far as I know, they just stick something in their arm, a guy hits a button, and then they're in like
Right.
Mm.
And
a
I don't
whole
like,
escape.
are they getting like they can't be getting an IV every time in their wrist. Like their wrist would be tore up.
Yeah, that's a lot of
So
bruising.
like I think it's just they put a monitor or something that
I
puts
don't,
them to
I
sleep.
don't know. I kind of thought it was an IV, but like people get IVs like
Well, they
daily
get-
sometimes. Although you'd think they would just have a port.
right.
Like-
they would have a port
like-
for it, and that would look weird.
Like the Matrix.
Then it's
they had
way
those
too
pre-plugs.
Matrixy.
Yeah.
But,
But I was gonna say it's a little interesting that it's not. It doesn't feel sci-fi enough because they don't give you enough technology.
You're
It
right.
feels more
Yep.
fantasy because they don't explain anything.
and also the settings. They don't. There's hardly any computers.
Yeah.
They don't
Not very
really. They don't really
technology-based.
use the phone. I mean,
there's a lot of guns.
in reality, they have like technology in the
Right,
rooms and stuff.
right.
But in the dreams, it almost looks like it's a simplified version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like kind of okay. Well, it looks like it, but I don't remember seeing any phones in the hotels or
I wonder
cell
if-
phones in pockets, and they're not calling each other, even though.
Yeah. Like I wonder if that's
Should
like
work
too
in a
hard to
dream.
dream about. Like
Well, I've never used a phone
yeah.
in a dream,
Like
and
when
that's
you
like
think
a thing.
about it.
Yeah.
Like have you ever had a dream where you're answering a phone call?
I've never had a dream where I had a smartphone
Yeah.
ever.
Like I'm always running from something. There's never phones.
Right.
If I
It's
had a
always
phone
like
in that
something's-
situation, it'd be better.
Something's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Must get away.
I'd call my Uber. He'd meet me 5 blocks up. I got in, and then
Right.
now I don't have to run anymore.
Just drop the pin a mile ahead. You'll get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the kick, though, Steve.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing to kind of talk about, because it almost seems like the kick thing isn't quite consistent throughout the whole movie. Like it's a little
Yeah.
like they just briefly describe it
Yeah.
and you don't really think much about it.
Because like in the bare bones of it, Joseph Gordon-Levitt tells us that the kick is just like the feeling of falling, like
Right.
loss of gravity, all that.
And that's what wakes you up from a
Right.
regular dream.
But like, you know, as they're getting into this Inception, name of the
Whoa,
movie.
whoa.
No, name of the
Whoa, we
And-
did it.
As they're getting into it, and like, you know, they're in their car chase in the back of the van, and it goes rolling down the hill. Like, you think that would be kick enough to wake them?
Right.
It's almost like they choose
When
when
they
the
want
kick
to.
is going to do it.
Right. For the sake of it being a movie. Yeah.
And then one more
Yeah.
time at the end, when Ariadne, Ariadne,
Yeah, that's going to be really
Um,
freaking hard.
when she like jumps to wake herself up, it's like,
Yeah.
wait, so I thought it had to work from the other side, not from your
Yeah,
side.
it's almost like,
yeah, that's we let that one slide.
but like they tell you can't kill yourself in this much of a dream.
When
Yeah.
they're seduced.
Right.
or
But
yet she
when they're
just
seduced.
jumps off.
Yeah, but
When-
each level is literally them killing themselves
Yeah.
until you get to that first level where it's just them crashing into the water.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's like, why does it work in that situation? Is it because like you're breaking the dream? I don't see. This is where you get a
yes,
little.
I think this is where it is different from sci-fi, where you try
Yeah.
to like have everything make sense,
Right.
and it's more fantasy where you're just in it for the story.
And I think the other thing, kind of the physics of it, is the deeper they go, the more they seem to run out of time.
yeah.
But the deeper you go, you're supposed to have,
so
much time.
you know, by a factor of 20.
Yeah.
It's supposed to feel like 10 years. It
Yeah.
felt like they were down in
Yeah,
the deepest
20
level
minutes.
for, like
20 minutes.
10,
And then
20
they
minutes.
went even further. Like, it.
Which gave them
I know
like 6
they
hours
said
apparently.
they only did 3
yeah.
sets of dreams, but
It was
felt
4 there
like
at the end.
12 of them.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like they went to sleep 12 times after that first.
yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like
We should have counted how many times they went to sleep. It would have been like 105 in this movie. There was a lot of naps.
oh, and
Oh,
also we should have kept a tally of every time they said dreams.
Dreams.
take a shot every time they said dreams.
You will be dead by the first 10
Right?
minutes of this movie.
We decided if we wanted to record something after the film, we probably shouldn't play that game.
Yeah. But we're
Oh, see,
going to
that
watch
would-
it
You'd-
again later.
That would be a
Yeah,
good
we're gonna watch it again
commentary.
later and die.
Yeah, no, that would be a good commentary.
Mm.
It's like, can we make
For
it to the end of the
33
movie?
minutes, it would be great. And then afterwards,
We just-
we'd be like how we started the episode.
Somebody make
But-
a joke.
As far as like quality of film, even though it was 15 years ago, Christopher Nolan was, I mean, he'd made some good films before, but he was starting to like really come into some crazy
He's
movies.
hitting his stride right
Yep.
around now because he's getting his Batman trilogy, which was like fucking mind blowing for him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I know you don't like Batman, but in the grand scheme of movies,
Daniel.
The Dark Knight became like the fucking household name.
Right.
Fuck you, Batman's awesome.
2 out of 3 every film in the book podcasters like Batman.
Recommend Batman,
Right?
Especially the Nolan trilogy. Those are at least worth a
So
watch.
we're already expecting this to be just a step above
Mhm.
other films. Like, you know, you hate to put that stigma on people, but now if I watched a Christopher Nolan film and it sucked, I'd be like, the heck happened?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be like a guaranteed
Yeah.
awesome movie.
Like,
What
can
happened?
you imagine if Oppenheimer was terrible? And we're just
Right,
like,
be like-
Nolan, what happened,
Like
buddy?
a dud from you? Unacceptable. What are you, human?
You're fired. You know what? I don't have that authority, but I fired him.
But so with this, I think this is his most confusing movie.
Yeah,
It's
like it
yeah.
makes sense watching it at least more than once, obviously.
Right.
It makes sense like where they're going. I think it's just those those little moments where you're not really sure, like the beginning and the end of the movie, like what is the ultimate point? Like where do we ultimately end up? And like that open-endedness is what's like, it leaves it up to interpretation for you.
Right.
And it also just doesn't flat out
And
say one way or the other what happens.
I like stories being told. I wouldn't say, like, I don't know. Would you even consider this a cliffhanger? Like, kind of.
I mean, yeah,
like,
in a way.
The main question doesn't get answered. And it's not that I'm not a fan of that form of storytelling. It's just, it would have been cool to know. But I also see what he was doing and leaving some of these things very ambiguous.
Well,
He wants you to think about it.
Yeah, and that kind of...
And watch it 17 more times over the next 15 years.
Exactly. Buy it on Blu-ray. You'll never stop. But that actually leads me to my point, because like this is one of the few movies from him where things aren't really explained.
Nope.
And things are just left open. Like, look at Interstellar that we did. Every line of that was closed. Like, one complete package. Everything made sense in the context of that story. But when you get to this one, there's a lot of, like, how does this work? It doesn't matter. It's a dream. It's like, all right, I'll buy that for the first level of dreaming.
Right.
But when you get to that second level of dreaming, now I'm confused, because he's like, you know, you have that room spinning and they're fighting. And I'm
Which
like...
was awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. But I'm like, if gravity affects...
Yeah,
like, or it's supposed to help them with the kick. I'm like, then why isn't he kicking himself right now?
We
Like,
needed a
what's going
crazy action scene.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll kick later. Do you want a fist fight? Because this is pretty crazy right now.
Right. And like, you know, even with all the action that there is, like, he still doesn't really show too much of it. Like, people are always just kind of like getting shot. You're not really seeing much out of it. You're just like, pop, pop. Oh, that guy's
It's
dead.
not I would definitely say the violence isn't the focal point at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Especially in the first, probably 40, 45 minutes of the film where he's explaining everything.
Yeah, the violence is more to like add pressure to their situation.
Yeah,
And
it's just crazy that there's so much of it. And it's like,
there's a lot of it.
I thought we were just putting dreams and shit. Now, why
Now
does he have a full armed militia?
It's corporate espionage against subconscious trained individuals trying to extract information so that a company can dissolve so that the one rich guy can be richer.
But then
that's his job. That's his job.
I just thought of this. But then, okay, so all of these guys all of these projections are armed.
Yeah.
But originally, so they go into the Cillian Murphy's dream, and his subconscious is armed. But then they go into somebody else's dream.
Right.
So why is their subconscious armed?
I was gonna ask that question.
Like,
actually,
is their subconscious also trained against themselves? So now they're like fighting themselves.
That's why I actually asked while we were watching the movie. Like, does it carry over the arms?
It might jump, or it might be that the person whose dream they're going into knows what they need to do to accomplish the mission. So they've trained on how to have their subconscious respond like that other person's would in order to get to the 17th layer of dreams safe.
These are the questions they this
just
is what they like put together in a boardroom. Like, well, it makes sense because
And it's like, Chris, are we going to answer any of these? No. Fuck them.
No.
They'll figure it out eventually.
Figure it out.
Like 12 years later, or like from now, he'll finally come out and be like, this is what I meant from Inception.
I don't think he's that old, but
no, 12 years from now he will be.
Yeah, because he's been dreaming
He'll
this
be
whole
an
time.
old man filled with regret.
Which I thought, the movie bookends with that scene, and that was kind of cool. The way, because we do get DiCaprio's kind of whole story, we just don't get the answer to it. But it is kind of neat that the whole time there is an overarching story. No matter how complicated it gets, they're still trying to
like
get
there's still an end mission.
And it's basically just a very confusing heist movie.
And I do think it's interesting how the heist itself is like the least important plot point because they don't explain what this will accomplish. They just go right into this mission. And then at the end, you don't see like the repercussions
Right.
of everything that
No.
happened.
Which is kind of weird because they put, Saito says like 2 sentences, like when he auditions,
Yeah.
because he doesn't know he's in an audition for being the extractor for this information or whatever. So he uses himself to test DiCaprio to like, can you even accomplish this task?
And of course he can. It's DiCaprio.
Right? And,
He won't win an Oscar for it, but he'll accomplish it.
So that was kind of neat how he was an interesting character throughout,
Yeah.
but did absolutely nothing to affect how the movie ended, really. They gave him
Yeah.
all those ups and downs, and it's like, well, we know he's going to land and be able to see his kids.
Right.
It's like, all right, so he does all that, and then you just cut the chunk of the story that you just spent the last 40 minutes telling us. Like, that would have been weird.
I mean, if you think about it, if DiCaprio just would have stayed out of the dreams, they would have been smooth sailing.
Oh, it would have been fine.
Would have been totally fine. Because they were totally fine up until Maul and the train starts crashing through.
But it does seem like it's a very, I don't know, expensive commodity, because they're not.
It's not cheap.
It's not the guy that owns the 7-Eleven that's, having his secret stolen. It's like these corporate billionaire huge companies that are.
I mean, 7-Eleven's probably a big company.
Yeah, but it's not the guy that runs the place. Yeah.
But it's also kind of crazy in this world that so many people know about.
Well,
like,
I was gonna
dream
say
extracting.
the opposite, because it seems like it's only at that high level. It's probably only those people in the world that know about it.
Like, dude, what if they came out tomorrow and like on the news and they're just like, breaking news, we can now extract information from your dreams.
I wouldn't worry about it because I don't have the kind of money they're looking for.
Yeah,
like not even close.
what if they want embarrassing secrets?
I'd tell them because it's funny. What do you need to know? It's like, I don't know.
I'll publish a book on them tomorrow.
Like, I have a $10 bill in my wallet. That's about it.
But I think going back to the whole like it's all about DiCaprio thing is that like the real character development and growth only happens with his character, and like he is the only one that feels like he even like grows as a character, which
he's
makes
the only
you
fully flushed out.
it makes you think everybody else isn't real, because like they kind of just are. They just exist in one like straight line, and they don't have anything going on.
Yeah, there's no ebbs and flows.
Yeah,
There's
he has to overcome his own inner turmoil, but like nobody else has to deal with their own shit.
The only character development they did was when two of them were sitting down, and he's like, "Oh, their subconscious is starting to notice. Quick, give me a kiss." She's like, "They're still looking at us." Well, it was worth a shot. that was that was the only tidbit of other characters being people at all.
Yeah.
Besides Tom Hardy and Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting with each other, like snickering,
and having like the smallest amount of personality ever.
Yeah, like everybody else seems almost like robotic.
Right, and all three of those people can act really well, so they could have given them way more personality.
way more to do. But like that also kind of brings it to DiCaprio, because there's a point in the story where he wakes up from a pretty bad dream. He goes to spin his top and he knocks it off the counter before he sees the outcome, and he never goes back and spins it again. So there was a theory going around that from that moment on, none of this is real.
Right.
And that's why the characters kind of stay stagnant. They don't really change, because DiCaprio's not adding his own character development to people who thinks are real.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like he's living out this fantasy of completing one last job to finally make it home.
Right.
It's like very convenient.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, that he happens to be doing a job for one guy who can happen to make
with
a call.
phone call.
Yeah,
with a phone call.
Like the more you kind of start thinking about it, you're like, okay, you can kind of interpret it like that. And then when you get to that final scene of him spinning the top and it keeps going, then it makes more sense, because you're like, oh, yeah, so he dreamt himself doing this amazing adventure, and that's why he survived unscathed, totally fine.
Right.
And then, he ends up at his end.
Yeah.
So I think we should get into Maul a little bit.
Yeah, a little more.
Because I don't know, it was kind of weird, because they could have made it just a straightforward heist movie and it would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a
like
pretty
the concept is cool on its own.
Yeah.
You don't really need
but
much
they
more
add
to
her
that.
to kind of not Well, I mean, it allows the other characters to question his judgment and things like that, which creates tension. Blah. We all know that kind of stuff. But it was kind of weird how at the end when you get the information about what he did, I still like don't feel bad for either one of them. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, either you were crazy or he's crazy. Somebody's nuts, and I don't think the kids are still here.
Yeah. I'm
Like,
like,
I don't think the kids made it.
I'm like, you're insane because you fucked around with the inside of her mind, and then
Right.
she's insane because she got herself declared sane by 3 different doctors.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very specific.
I still think that, like, the whole reason that they bring her in is to bring focus back to his
Right.
story, and that,
100%.
like, he has to overcome all these things. But yeah, it does make you kind of question, like, where she is in this whole thing. Like,
Right.
is she, like, when they were down in their own little private dream
Yeah.
world,
Yeah, it was
Right.
kind of
Like-
creepy.
if she's still stuck, like, could she, like, actually be alive? And her jumping off the building is like they were still in a dream then. Like, it makes you start to
Yeah.
question, like,
Well,
what's real then?
To that point, she's across the street
Yeah, how did
from
she get
him
across
at the
that?
window. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, they would have saw that she rented the hotel room directly across from where she got supposedly murdered.
Yeah, and
It's
you
like,
don't
what?
think the neighbors in the other rooms would hear him going like, "No, don't do this. I'm definitely not the one killing you."
Yeah.
Right. But if it was a dream, it would have been a bunch of subconscious. It would've
Yeah,
been,
and they
you
wouldn't
know.
report anything.
Yeah, so
They don't snitch.
It's kind of wishy-washy with that because he's clearly looking out the window and seeing her across the way.
Right.
So that was a little weird. She did go to insane lengths to try to get him to come with her,
Yeah.
which is nuts. Even though we still get a full explanation from it, I feel like, I don't know, she's just kind of weird. Like, why would she be sabotaging all his missions and
Yeah.
like sneaking in and
Right. It
Yeah.
it almost drives home the point that, like, maybe that's not, like, what actually happened, and it's like his way of protecting himself
Right.
because he's trying to, like, make himself feel like it wasn't his fault.
Right.
And so he's, like, kind of giving himself, like, more reasons.
Yeah, like he's almost making her the villain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it's like, "Oh man, I'm not succeeding because she's always ruining it." It's like, no.
Yeah, and
it's
then
like
she
you
also-
kinda let her down
you're
that.
you're doing it.
And she also is always going after whoever they're trying to, like,
yeah,
do
exactly.
the
Like
mission
she,
for.
yeah, she knows all the important players and knows if
Well,
Yeah.
that's why he can't build anymore, Steve.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's why he needs a prodigy.
well, and I mean, it's like she doesn't want him to go home because
Mhm.
that'll give him more of a reason to blammo himself, and then he's back there with her.
Right.
But then again, I guess he wouldn't. He would just be dead. Unless dead is all dreams. If
This
that's what
movie's
they-
hard.
At some
Shit.
point, Dad is just dead.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
And then you turn into a zombie, and then you're zombie dreaming. You gotta incept a zombie into
Yeah.
not eating brains.
But yeah, I think also the question I had is, like, if you were stuck in limbo, like, how did you get out? How did you go from being in limbo to being back in reality?
I mean, that
And
was
how
my
do you even
question
know?
with Saito and DiCaprio at the end there. Like,
Yeah.
if killing yourself in limbo, or if killing yourself in those dreams would have just sent you to limbo, why would killing yourself in limbo send you back to the real world?
Because there's nothing past limbo for the sake of being able to comprehend it with our human brains, Steve.
But then,
That's like
No,
yeah,
but
some
I don't
quantum
think. I mean, they kind of allude to limbo in killing yourself with that last scene. But he's like,
Yeah.
I've come to take you home. So I think maybe he just needed to give him a kick. Maybe.
yeah, but like the other thing, I guess, is like if they're able to just kill themselves down in limbo, or like kick themselves down in limbo and ride the shockwave that they set
Right.
up like 20 minutes ago, like why would they be worried then dying in the dream if they're going to get sent there? And it's like, oh cool, just pop yourself when
I
you're
think
down there.
I think
and
the thing with that is the time in limbo is exponential. So if you're dead in the dream
Mm.
and you you're sedated and you can't wake up from it, then you have to wait the remainder of the time you were given in that dream. So at the last one, it could have been 50 years. And then in limbo, that 3 seconds you died before the time was up for the other dream or whatever, that could be 300 years in limbo.
Okay.
And that's why he said, like, even if you do wake up, your brains are probably scrambled eggs.
Right.
Because no matter what, if you get all the way down to limbo, you're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
And you'll lose grasp on reality. That's why you needed a totem.
Well, I kind of wonder if he did scramble his brains. And
maybe
that
a little
when
bit.
he woke up, reality isn't reality anymore.
Well, between
actually-
this movie and Shutter Island,
Yeah, I was
he's
gonna
nuts.
say.
He's crazy.
I was going to say, this is the prequel to Shutter Island. He wakes up and he thinks he's a detective.
Right? He's like, I'm on the case.
Oh, that would be insane.
That's how all of his movies connect.
But
my
the
God,
I
yeah.
think
He's just dreaming all of them.
the couple funny things that I did enjoy is Cillian Murphy being an idiot.
Oh my
He's
God, he's
just-
so gullible.
You
in
mean
this
I'm-
movie.
You mean I'm dreaming and you're here to protect me? Yes, focus on the gravity, focus on the noise, the shaking. You're definitely in a dream. He's like, yeah, either that or we're all dying. It's like, yeah, that was just silly. And then Tom Hardy saying, you just got to learn to dream a little bigger, and pulls a grenade launcher out instead of a rifle.
Oh my God, I love Tom Hardy. I have nowhere to go with that. I
Just
love
okay,
Tom
just
Hardy.
a statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's great. And then I like the chemist that they bring in, and like just his role in it. Like I
Right.
love how like he's so specific with like the chemicals, where it's like, oh, don't worry, like I left
believe
inner
him.
ear function
Right, and
unimpaired.
They just abuse,
Yeah, for like
Gordon
5
Levitt
minutes,
for-
they're just like push
him over. He's like, see, it works. Try it again. Oh, yeah, it works. So his shoulders and head be all bruised up from falling over in that
Oh my
chair
God.
12 times. That was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
But it's just one of those things where, like, if the inner ears thing does work, you think them flipping that van would be enough to wake them up.
Right? You'd hope. It's like, no, it was a gentle crash.
Yeah.
I guess this is why seatbelts save lives. They all stayed in the thing, and their arms are like,
Right? Yeah, but the mechanics of filming that, like, that stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah.
A bit heavy on the slow motion.
Yeah, surprisingly heavy on slow-mo.
Just a bit heavy. Now, some of it was really cool, but I think if they'd have just him falling into the tub, that one was cool.
Yeah.
But then all the other ones, it was like, if you'd have just slowed it down a little bit to give us a second, like, wow, that's a lot going on, and then go back to full
and
speed, it'd be
it right
fine. We
back
didn't
up.
need the whole thing in slow motion every time.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to like make it suspenseful.
Right,
And
and-
like
It
What's
was
gonna
helpful.
happen when DiCaprio falls into the tub? I don't know. We'll find out in
Right.
10 more seconds.
It was cool. It was good. It was pretty neat.
Yeah,
though.
him coming out like in slow mo and then instantly back into fast motion. So,
Right, that was
like,
pretty
for him
neat. Tackling that guy,
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty cool. They did a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
and
film-wise.
it's just such a cool concept, and to be able to put that to film and make it kind of like seem real, like especially with the hallway. Like Danielle was pointed out, like they made that giant like room on a big wheel, and
Yep.
they spun them around, and they're like, okay, fight each other.
mhm.
Like that's so cool, and it's such a nice way to be like. Now they probably would have just CGI'd a room and
Right.
fucking spun them around, or like put them on a green screen and had the characters bouncing on the walls. Like Nolan was
Yeah.
like, "Nah, I'm putting you in a room and I'm spinning
Yep.
you guys."
Yeah, whenever they, whenever a movie that doesn't need to do practical effects can, because now it's gone the other way.
Mm.
Years ago, it was more expensive to do the CGI for stuff than the practical effects.
Right.
Now the practical effects are more expensive to do than the CGI.
Yeah.
So when a movie, even 14 years ago, does practical effects, even back then it was super cool, and now it's like a kind of like a badge of I'm a good filmmaker.
Yeah.
Is we did that practically.
Yeah.
99% CGI, but we
Right.
did that practically.
And like they did use a lot of CGI in this movie, but also at the same time they didn't
Right, it was
shove it in
more-
your face. It was more for background.
Just background stuff,
Yeah.
which
Like they
we come
CGI'd
to
the
expect
things.
in every film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they CGI'd the things that you physically could not make. Like
Yeah.
there's no way
Right.
they could find an island full of 50,000 skyscrapers.
Or the
Yeah.
street bending in half.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
And the weird
Exactly.
3D models of the two characters being like, "Whoa!" on the ceiling.
Yeah,
now.
that looked a little wonky.
yeah,
but
that,
most of it
that
looked
was a little
fine.
wonky, but that's completely allowed because they did so many other things so well.
Yeah.
This is just off topic, but I read that in the Last of Us they had practical fungus tendrils
Yeah.
that came out, but they were like
Yeah. they
it would take
CGI'd
too
it.
long. It would take too long, which would cost too much money, and they just CGI'd it.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
Yeah,
too
it's-
bad.
it
but
sucks.
the fact that they tried it, it was like
Yeah.
they're trying to
And
They-
like I think with the success of, a lot of Nolan's movies where he does a lot of this stuff practically, like it might start edging back towards that.
right, and it at least gives him the leeway to do it when he wants in his movies.
And I mean, look at how many people complain about CGI nowadays. It's just like, I know that's fake. And like it all looks
Right.
terrible anyway. So it's like,
Especially for a movie about humans
yeah.
that are doing human things. It's like, okay.
Hello, humans, human fellas.
Right, the space movies should probably have a bit of CGI because we can't go to Mars and film this.
Yeah.
You know,
I
of
can't
course.
send McConaughey through a black hole.
But you can film in Arizona and make it.
Yeah, you
I
can.
can make it look pretty close.
And you can grow poop potatoes.
Confirmed. Poop potatoes are real.
Yep.
But no, I mean, I would just say this is just an all around, it's a fun ride. There's a few things that he leaves out, but I think that's more to stick with that ending theme where it's like,
Yep.
this is up to your interpretation because it's supposed to feel like a dream. Like you don't remember all the details of your dream. So like not everything's going to be explained to you
yeah, not
because you're not
everything's
going to
gonna be
get all the
crazy.
details in your dream. So it's almost like, holy shit. It's almost like he's putting you in a dream. When watching it. Whoa.
Well, I was gonna say, like, from the very beginning, they do that like sort of style, and it continues throughout the whole movie where they just throw you into a new situation, even when you know that it's gonna happen, even when you know that they're going into a dream. They just like it just cuts, and you're just there. And that's what, at least for me, like dreams actually are like that. You will go from one moment of something happening to just now you're somewhere else and you're just in it, and it's just like that's your reality now.
And I think they made that really clear with when they got to the mountains and he's on the sniper scope, and I think like 3 or 4 seconds later shoots the first guy. It's like he's right in there, ready to go.
Yeah.
And then they do show that Cillian Murphy takes a little bit of time in each one to get going on what they need to do.
Right.
So that was kind of neat because they are professionals at it.
Yeah.
So
No,
that was
no
pretty
place
sweet.
for tourists, Michael.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
place.
I did want to say, I forget the guy who plays Psycho, but
The guy who plays Psycho?
Psycho, the businessman,
Christian Bale?
Psycho. No, in this movie,
Oh,
Steve,
Who plays the businessman?
SAI.
Oh, Saito.
Saito. Oh, I got one letter wrong. Whatever.
Sorry.
Anyway,
I was like,
any-
Psycho, Anthony Perkins?
any movie that has him in it with that accent, whatever he says is way cooler than if they'd have got anybody else to play that part
what's
ever.
his name? Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
Is his name. Yeah, no, he's fantastic.
He's
in
great.
everything.
Anything he's in when he talks, I'm just like, that's going to happen, and it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the Godzilla movies, like, let them fight. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Let's go.
Yeah. Brought it back to Godzilla.
I don't know. I don't know him from any other movies but that one and this one.
He's in a bunch, and they're all fantastic.
He's in a lot. But no, he's very good in this one, too.
It was... Go ahead.
I was going to say another thing that they don't really show is like the passage of time. You can't really tell how long they've been anywhere that they've been. And it, like we said earlier, it feels like the last dream that they're in is like 10 minutes. But they supposedly were there for at least an hour.
But they could have been there for 10 years.
But it was supposed to feel like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like what you were literally just saying, like, or one of you guys, like, you just start in your dream and like everything is like quick and whatever. Every scene starts like that, whether it's a dream scene or not. Like, he's like, I gotta go to Mombasa or whatever, and then he's
boom,
there.
he's walking through a doorway,
and then like he's like, oh, I gotta go to Paris, and then boom, he's already there. And it's like you were saying, there's no passage of time, there's no setting, there's no like, oh, this takes place in 2010. It's like, no, you have no place.
And that brings it back to the whole, do you remember how you got here? Because we don't even see them travel from place to place. They just show up there.
I remember, like, Michael came through the door. We kind of like
did the thing.
Talk about the movie, Steve.
Oh, sorry.
But that is a good point, because most films, when there's any travel involved, they get in a taxi. They walk into the airport. The camera pans up. You see the name of the airport. A plane lands, and then he's walking out of the airport, and there's different cars. Perhaps the people are more tan. Like something has
Perhaps
shown.
They'll give you with a dotted line,
right?
Yeah, or like a name and date, or like they'll give you like a little compilation of like little clips.
It'll go from snowing to a nice palmy beach.
Right? There was no B-roll footage of travel.
There was no montages.
Right? They should have put montage. Now there's no B-roll footage of traveling.
No.
And then they
even
never,
when they're on the plane, they're just on it, and then they're not on it.
And there's no real destination for that whole van ride. Anytime they're on the plane, it's just in the plane. You know, there's nothing really. There's no destinations in anywhere except for that bridge,
right?
Kind of thing. So it's like who knows? It could be a dream within a dream.
I feel like this whole movie could just be dissected for fucking hours.
Right. Yeah.
And it's all because he left out just few little details.
Just a couple
here
details.
And there.
I think this is what he wanted.
Yeah. He wanted debate.
Well,
I hate him for it.
Well, let's end the debate here. Was he dreaming? Or was he awake and got to see his kids?
That's the ultimate question.
I think it was a dream because the kids are in the same outfit the whole time, and you still also don't see their faces. I don't know if that has anything to do. Like, we as the audience,
so they show at the very end.
Yeah, like they show the kids' faces,
but they don't show the top.
My thing is,
the top.
How many years have passed since Cobb has left the United States? Because those kids would not look the exact same as they do in his memory.
Right.
Like, nor would they fit in the same clothes that they were wearing years after.
They don't tell us how long he's been.
Exactly.
They don't talk about time.
But if she died, so his wife kills herself, he has to leave the country immediately, and then he gets right into this job type thing.
But it almost seems like he's been at it for a while, because when he shows up to Michael Caine and is like, he's like, is it even safe for you to be here? He's just like, whatever, they won't extradite me. And he's like, you gave me this skill. And he's like, well, I never taught you to be a thief. And he's like, yeah, but you told me to invade people's minds. There's not a lot of legal ways for me to use that.
Do, yeah.
So it definitely makes it seem like he's been at it for a few years, because he's wanted in like every country at this point. So like some time has had to have passed, at least a couple years, where those kids would not look exactly like they do in his head.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Now they do give you the top wavering a little bit.
Yeah, all tops waver, Steve.
But when they show it in the dream, it's just straight up and down, spinning constantly. So it's like, it does make you think, maybe this is real. Maybe he hasn't been gone as long as it would make you think.
That's kind of where I don't think they would have showed them growing old together and maybe it took that long for him to finally convince her to get her to do that. And that's my only, like, I see all the other evidence, but it's like, okay, at the same time, they showed how long it took him to get her to, to change her mind, to plant that idea. So it's like, I don't know, but it still could have been, just a 10-hour stint in the dream. You know what I mean? Was that 50 years? But I don't know.
Yeah, see, and that's why it's like, again, you could have so many different interpretations. Like, I know, like, when we got out of the theater, my friends just latched on to the top waivers. Of course he's awake.
Right.
But like you don't really.
But they
like,
give you enough stuff to no matter what your opinion is, you can be like, yeah, but this and this, and then
Yeah.
but this and this.
And I mean,
and,
like,
every argument has 3
Right.
good examples for it.
And like, you know, Nolan's one of those guys where you do have to watch his movies
Right.
more than once. And, you know, after seeing this a few times, it's the first time I noticed even the kitchen is set up the exact same way as when he left. Like there's
Right.
the paintbrushes on the counter with the paint water.
Right.
Like the
There's
table set up the same
dinosaur,
way.
the bowl of bananas.
Yeah, like the house looks the exact same. Nothing has changed. Like you never see the grandma or any of them in the shot. So like, you know, it's almost like the whole thing was like a freaking dream. Like
Right.
literally from when he leaves to when he comes back was
right.
all
He
just
could
a
he could be
dream.
in the
Yeah.
next room over taking a nap.
Yeah, just
and
just
all
zonked
this
out.
happened.
All of
yeah.
that was his
All
dream.
that was his dream.
Yeah, and like that would be his kids calling him, being like, and that also doesn't make sense. His kids calling him in a random hotel in like Japan or wherever he is.
Right.
Like, how would they have that number? And then like,
What was a dream, Steve?
Yeah.
well,
It could have been a
exactly,
dream.
because the kids are like, grandma says you're never coming home, or like, you know, when are you coming home? Oh, I can't because I'm working. It's like almost like the kids are trying to bring him out of the dream. Like, come home, Dad. Like, wake up.
Right.
Oh,
So maybe
yeah.
it is real.
Oh God,
know.
it's too much.
Yeah, it really can go so many ways, and it's
Yeah.
just it's one of those up to your interpretation movies. So
Right.
that's what makes it super interesting.
Yeah, it's what makes it fun, because it's like movies that warrant discussion are like, well, shit. All right, I could kill
Right.
a couple minutes with my friends and talk about, you know, oh, is he
Yeah, I
alive?
don't
Is he
know.
not alive? Like,
or
what-
a whole podcast episode.
Right.
Right,
Maybe.
right.
Maybe.
it would be like if we did Shutter Island. It's like, oh, that would be cool to fucking sit and talk about. But like, I love like that's why I kind of wanted to do this one. Like, I love how this ends, and I love that so much is left out that you could just be like, no, I don't even think he was ever alive to begin with.
And because it's a movie like that, and you know, we have so little complaints about the film itself, that like if it wasn't this quality of a movie, people would just be like, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care
It's
if it does.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of neat that this many years later we can still be like, we still don't know.
Yeah.
We still
Yeah.
can watch it again, even though I've seen it a bunch of times, and I'm still unsure of what happened.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, if I don't know if Nolan's come out since and been like, well, this is the ending that I would have done, but I left it as a cliffhanger. So, like, if you know at home, don't tell me, because I don't want to know.
Right?
I just want to keep questioning.
Yeah, if he came
Yeah.
out and said something we just haven't read it for all these years, leave us alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's typing furiously in the comments.
It's like, listen, you idiots.
We want to stay in our dream. Put a sock in it.
Yeah, seriously. Don't kick me out of this.
All right, guys, I'm going back to my dream.
Right?
All right, we're all going back to
So
bed.
should we check to see if this is real or not?
Yeah, we might as well.
We might as
All
well.
Well, friends, this has been a great ride.
Yeah.
If we don't wake up, I guess I'll see you guys
Right.
in level 2.
Thanks for joining us in our podcast that we've filmed only in our dreams. So when we wake up, we'll have never even started a podcast.
Yep.
Oh, God.
All right. That's a terrible one.
That was a terrible one.
Wait, that was
Oh,
bad.
no.
I don't think that counts.
Do it again.
I don't think
yeah.
that counts.
Oh, that was
Oh,
even
that's
worse.
different. Man, how are we supposed to
There
know
we
if we're
go.
dreaming? There we go. Well, I guess we'll catch you guys,
Next time.
Or maybe not.
or not, in your next dream.
Bye.
Bye.